Hello everyone, my name is Alexander Thorns, but you can call me Sasha. Water types. Other than being one of the types from the original starters, it is also the most common type in many games, that being true for Generation 1. With 16 possible encounters, it's perfect for a water type only Nuzlocke. So join me as I find out if water types and myself had what it takes to complete a Pokémon Blue water type Nuzlocke. To start my adventure, I named myself Aoi and head straight to my first encounter, the water starter Squirtle, which has got a lot of work cut out in front of him. After giving Professor Oak his parcel, I proceed to the Viridian Forest and obviously get poisoned on the first battle, which happens every goddamn time. But luckily, we manage to defeat it and Squirtle proceeds to lay waste to every remaining trainer. Upon reaching Pewter City, I defeat the gym trainer and backtrack all the way back to face my rival. Now, in my personal rule set, before I face the gym leader, I need to defeat every single possible trainer. Then I saved my rival for last, because this battle can be fairly annoying and I want all the experience I can get. All of this because of this stupid bird, combined with the fact that I only have one Pokemon. You see, PJ knows Sand Attack, which lowers my accuracy, and because I can switch out, I can't reset the drops, meaning that when that leash-seeding Bulbasaur comes in, I have to hope and pray that I can connect with my tackles. Bulbasaur comes in, I get 3 good tackles on until he connects with the leash seed, which will start regenerating Bulbasaur health each turn. And of course my Squirtle starts missing, but after an agonizing long battle, my Squirtle finishes Bulbasaur off with a crit and only 2 HP left, and I can finally breathe. Luckily, the game cuts me some slack, as the first Kanto gym leader is Brock, a rock type expert, which means Bubble from Squirtle makes quick work of Geodude and Onix, giving me my first badge. After the gym battle, I make my way to Mount Moon, more specifically the Pokémon Center next to the entrance into Mount Moon, because in there's a guy that gives me my next encounter, a Magikarp. And while I'm going on the way there, my starters start to evolve and Squirtle becomes a Water Turtle. Eventually, I get my Magikarp, and I know this may not look like it, but this is easily one of the best Pokémons in Generation 1 after evolving. To reach said evolution is another complete story, because I only have Water Turtle and Magikarp. Magikarp only learns Tackle at level 15, and honestly, it having Tackle or not having it, it's the same thing, because this fish is weak as fuck. This all means switch train it through the entirety of Mount Moon. This actually also helps in not overleveling my Pokemon, since the next gym leader's ace is on level 21. After defeating everyone in Mount Moon and picking the Dome Fossil to revive later, I arrive in Cerulean City. With my Water already at level 21, I decide to fight my rival first, which this time should be relatively easier. Because now, if Pidgeotto decides to sand attack me, I can switch out to reset the drop. However, I have to admit, the decision to switch train Magikarp in this battle almost cost me my run, because I managed to defeat Ivysaur. It was just a little too close for comfort. With a rival defeated, it's gym time. After leveling up Magikarp and evolving it into a Gyarados, I challenge Misty, the water type expert. But with Gyarados on our team now, Staryu and Starmie fall to a barrage of bites, dealing little damage in the process. With that, I have my second gym. Immediately after defeating Misty, I can complete the Nugget Bridge trainers until I reach Bill and help him get out of his weird mid-suit that gives me access to the SS ticket, but most importantly allows me to leave Solurian City and defeat this random Team Rocket grunt that gives me the TM for Dig, the answer to our next gym battle. Before that, I have to clear the SSN of all of his trainers and face my rival once again. However, because I only have 2 Pokemon, they are slightly overleveled, so Water Turtle can easily dispatch of his team, defeating Pidgeotto and Rattata with Water Gun, Kadabra falls to a Body Slam, and then I thought via TM, and Dig eliminates Venusaur for a clean battle. With that dealt with, I give the captain a rub and get rewarded with a HM01 for Cut, giving me access to the 3rd gym. And now, I'm thankful for the 3 levels I have over the gym's leader's ace, because this is an electric type gym. And with a team of water types, one of them being 4 times weak to electric, I need all the help I can get. After being very lucky with the worst puzzle in Pokémon history, I face Lieutenant Surge. and these electric types. With the overlevel and the Wartortle can KO Voltorb, Pikachu and Raichu, only having to survive a Thunder Shock from Raichu, and this gives me my third badge. With Lieutenant Surge dealt with without any casualties, I can pay a visit to the Pokémon Fan Club and talk with the president to receive the bike voucher, which I can use to trade for a bicycle back at Slowbro City. Next up is Rock Tunnel, which, fun fact, as a kid I had no idea where to get the Flash HM in Pokémon Blue, the first Pokémon game I ever played back when I was 8 years old. So I memorized my way around. On the other side of Rock Tunnel I get access to the cursed Lavender Town and its music. But I don't go ghost hunting just yet, because my site is in Celadon. So I immediately head on over and climb this building from the back door, and at the top I get my next encounter, an Eevee, which, if I go to the department store 4th floor, I can get a Waterstone to evolve it into a Vaporeon. Also, at the top of the building, I give this child sugary drinks in exchange for the TM for Ice Beam, the answer to the next gym, so I teach it to Wartortle. With this I can backtrack and defeat all the trainers I left behind in order not to get too overleveled. After that it's gym time, and another possibly tough gym because Erika specializes in grass types, and I'm hoping with Gyarados and Blastoise with Ice Beam I can manage this gym without any casualties. The first major hassle in this battle is Victreebel. With a high crit ratio Razor Leaf, this has a potential to one-shot my starter, but luck was on my side this gym because I get the freeze status on my first Ice Beam, making sure that I can defeat Victreebel with 2 more Ice Beams. Tangela comes in next, and although it survives an Ice Beam, only retaliates with a weak Constrict with minimum damage, and a second Ice Beam takes the Spaghetti monster down. I'm still not out of the woods yet, because her final Pokémon is Vileplume, and the crit Petal Dance can still faint my starter. So, I click Ice Beam for over 50% damage, Vileplume goes for Petal Dance for a good chunk of damage, but no crit, allowing me to take Vileplume out with another Ice Beam next turn, granting me the 4th gym badge. After getting my hands on the 4th gym badge, I can defeat Team Rocket and Giovanni in a game corner. I wish I could say Giovanni was a hard fight, but he mainly uses ground types, and at this point I'm kind of a level compared to him. With a Silph Scope in hand, I can head back to Lavender Town and climb the Pokémon Tower to rescue Mr. Fuji and acquire the Pokéflute. And this, my dear viewers, is when the game opens up for me. With the Pokéflute, I can wake up the Blockland Snorlax in Route 12, with Wartortle evolving into his final evolution Blastoise on the way there, and talk to the Fishing Guru to get my hands on a Super Rod. But it doesn't end there. I can fly to Celadon City, wake up the second Snorlax, gain access to the bike path after dodging some trainers, I get into Fuchsia City, which inside of this house I can get the Good Rod, and finally start my Pokémon catching spree. Using the Good Rod I fish a Poliwag in Pallet Town and a Golden Ingredient City. Switching over to the Super Rod, I move to Route 24, north of Lurun City, and catch a Psyduck. In Route 25 I catch a Krabby. Next I find Shelder in a Route 6, a Slowpoke in Route 10, and a Tentacool in Route 12. Last but definitely not least, I fish out a Staryu in Route 19. With all possible counters caught, I need to reshape the team a little bit and start teaching some TMs. In the end, I decided the team of my starter Blastoise with his longest friend Gyarados. Joining them I choose Staryu because this starfish is easily the most overpowered water type in Pokémon Red, Blue and Yellow. It would be a crime not to use it, and to round out the team, Tentacool giving me another fast Pokémon to balance out the team. With the team fully picked, and yes, I play with a 4-party team, I'll explain why at the end of the Nuzlocke, it is time for some evolutions. At level 30, Tentacool evolves into Tentacruel, and with the Waterstone, Staryu evolves into Starmie. I make sure to get recovered by level up before evolving Staryu. With the leveling and evolutions done, time to get the best HM for this run, because in the Safari Zone I get the HM for Surf, which I teach to every single one of my Pokémons. I get the HM for Strength and TT to Gyarados, and to make my Starmie go from what the fuck is this into God tier Starfish, I teach it Surf, Psychic and Thunderbolt. With every possible trainer defeated, time for the 5th gym. Koga specializes in poison type Pokémons, a rather annoying type to deal with, because Grammar and Muk love to spam Minimize, making them hard to hit, and Coughing and Wheezy use Self-Destruct which could spell out the end for one of my mons. That would be a rather serious threat if I didn't have the fast Psychic type Starmie that completely decimates Koga's team, knocking out every single one of them with a single Psychic. And god, I love this Pokemon and I hate Koga. With the 5th gym in hand, it's time for me to move on to Saffron City, where the location of the next badge is. But before I can get my hand on the 6th badge, I need to take care of the invading Team Rocket at the Silphco. And to be honest, I always feel like this when handling the Silphco invasion, because it's just so boring. I will say other than the TM26, which contains Earthquake, nothing else here. There's nothing else here other than a lot of weak trainers to fight. And because of my personal rules, I have to defeat every single one of them before moving on. Before I reach Giovanni, I need to fight my rival first. Although compared to him, I'm kinda over level, in this battle we can start to see his team taking shape. He leads off with his Pidgeot and I lead with Blastoise, and one Ice Beam takes care of the big bird. Next, he sends in his own Gyarados and I go for Ice Beam trying to fish out a freeze. Don't get it, but I go unpunished as Gyarados goes for a Leer. Next turn, Blastoise nails a crit body slam, bringing the weird snake down. Next, Growlithe comes in, and he is easily dispatched with a Surf, no surprises there. Katon's next Pokemon is the one I'm most scared of in the future, Alakazam. Luckily for me, Blastoise higher level and Alakazam piss poor defenses result in my Blastoise being faster than the Alakazam, a sentence I've never expected to say, and with one body slam, Alakazam faints. Lastly, the starter Venusaur comes in, and we switch blows for the same damage, with Blastoise hitting an Ice Beam for around 80%, and Venusaur retaliating with a crit Razor Leaf for the same damage. Next turn, I outspeed and bring the Flower Frog down with another Ice Beam, defeating my rival for the 5th time. With the rival fight done, I can challenge Giovanni, and given the fact that he specializes in ground-type Pokémons, this fight is easily won by Tentacruel and a Surf Spam. Now that the side quests have been dealt with, the 6th gym appears in the distance. Sabrina uses Psychic types. Sabrina, the Psychic expert, wants to battle, and I have to oblige. The battle starts, she leads with Kadabra, and I send out my strongest physical attacker, Gyarados. And one strength takes care of Kadabra. Calling in Mr. Mime, I switch to Starmie because I want to keep Gyarados healthy for a race. For the switch in, Starmie takes a very weak double slap. From then on, 2 Surfs takes care of the Mimic Pokemon, only going for 2 weak double slaps in the process. With Mr. Mime defeated, Venomoth, our only non-psychic mon, comes in, and on a very rough matchup because this bug poison type is staring down a psychic type, so as predicted the big moth falls to a big psychic, leaving only Alakazam left on Sabrina's side. At first I tried to use Surf to weaken Alakazam, however he goes for Recover. Because I don't want to get into a Surf Recover cycle, which will end on Starmie running out of Surfs, I switch to Gyarados on another Recover. Next turn, Alakazam goes for Reflect, increasing his defenses, which results in Gyarados' strength dealing reduced damage, for almost 50%, which Alakazam heals back to full next turn with a Recover. I get a low roll in the next strength, and I don't want to get stuck on a Recover cycle, because Reflect only lasts for 5 turns, I can't afford to play along. This was my plan, but Gyarados' plan was violence and destruction, so in the next turn Gyarados hits a crit strength, taking the Werejackal down and giving me the victory and the 6th gym badge. Now, I would love to tell you that the last 2 gyms were going to be the hardest for storytelling purposes, however, the 7th gym is focused on fire types, and the 8th gym uses ground types. Now, I have a team of water types, so yeah, not much of a threat there. With that, Blastoise with Surf takes care of Blaine's Pokemon, and Gyarados takes care of Giovanni for the last time, giving me the 7th and 8th badge respect. With all 8 badges in hand, I can finally make my way to the Pokémon League, but before that, I have to fight my rival once again, and this time his team looks kinda threatening, and my overlevel is gone, with his ace being 3 levels above my Pokémon. I have no other choice, so into the battle I go. As usual, he leads with Pidgeot, and I lead with Blastoise, which connects with one Ice Beam and 1 Body Slam, fainting the Pidgeot, with it only managing to fail a Whirlwind. Next, for some reason, Rhyhorn comes in, and it gets destroyed with a Surf, obviously. Gyarados comes next, and I switch Blastoise out for my Starmie, taking a bite on a switch, that being insignificant, as Starmie takes revenge big time with a crit Thunderbolt knocking out Gyarados. Growlithe is up next, and as soon as it comes in, it goes down with a single surf. My rival sends out Alakazam next, and just like in the Sabrina's case, I go for a surf to get some chip damage for around 50%, and to my surprise, Alakazam goes for a reflect, giving me the chance to fire another surf, but I get a low roll and barely miss out on the KO, and Alakazam obviously goes for a recover, putting him above 50%, which means another surf won't do the trick. So before I get stuck in the recover cycle, I switch for Gyarados and on another recover, taking Alakazam back to full health. I click on Strength, but Alakazam outspeeds and fires up Psybeam for around 25% damage, with Strength just missing the 50% mark to the reflect that Alakazam used earlier. Next, Alakazam hits Gyarados with a crit Psychic, leaking my poor blue noodle at 17 HP, and Strength gets another roll. I have to switch since Gyarados is slower, and I go for Stymie, because at least I can resist his Psychic moves. This comes in handy, as Alakazam went for Psybeam on the switch, with Stymie can shrug off and KO Alakazam with another surf. Last for my rival is his starter Venusaur. This mon is a threat for my entire team minus Gyarados, which is at low health, and technically Tentacruel is also a good resistant Venusaur, however his moveset isn't made for damaging a bulky grass type, so I risk it. Starmie has super effective stab Psychic, all I need to do is take one non-crit Razor Leaf and I should win this with Psychic. I click Psychic. No crit, but good damage, Venusaur goes for a Razor Leaf and it crits, taking my Starmie down. Oh boy. To finish the battle, I send out Tentacruel because I don't want to risk losing another member of the team, and with 2 acids, Tentacruel avenged his fallen brother. Starmie being down is a massive blow in the guts, because not only did I lose one of the best water types in Generation 1, I also lost a TM from Psychic and Thunderbolt, since in this generation TMs are single use. This sucks deeply, but the show must go on. After depositing Starmie for a long rest, a new team member is needed, and I take out Slowpoke, trying to replace a water psychic type with another water psychic. And to be fair, I chose Slowpoke simply because it learns psychic by level up, so I still have a decent answer into bonus fighting types and I get a spoil. However, I don't get much time to mourn, because shortly after this loss, I'm at the Indigo Plateau getting ready to face the Pokémon League. After some last minute preparations, I go into the battle. Lorelei is the first member of the Elite Four, and without Starmie or Thunderbolt, this battle is sure to be a challenge. Lorelei starts off with Dugong, and I send out Gyarados. First turn, Gyarados connects his strength for about 40%, and Dugong immediately goes for a rest, regaining all of his health back and going to sleep in the process. This should give me an easy KO, because a combination of strength and Hyper Beam should take down Dugong, right? So, strength connects, Dugong stays asleep. Good. Hyper Beam misses and Dugong wakes up. This situation is annoying, but apparently Gyarados was annoyed as well, because next turn I go for strength to avoid the miss, and Gyarados gets a crit, taking Dugong down. Cloyster is next, and I click Surf, and no, this wasn't a misclick. You see, Cloyster has an honestly disrespectful defense stat for Generation 1, but on the other hand, his special is seriously lacking, which means Surf, although being resisted, actually deals more damage than strength. So Cloyster falls to 50% and misses the Supersonic. What comes next is 4 Surfs to take Cloyster down, because every Surf left Cloyster at low health, causing Lorelei to pop a Super Potion until eventually the clam goes down. Next up is Slowbro, another defensive monster, and one that I don't really have much of an answer to. So I decide to try a Strength Hyper Beam combo to deal some damage, but Gyarados once again shows violence and Strength crits, allowing Hyper Beam to take Slowbro down. Jinx takes the podium next and immediately leaves due to a crit surf from Gyarados. Lapras is Lorelei's final Pokemon and a race, and a really tanky one at that. The lack of a better solution, I go for Strength, which deals around 30%, and Lapras retaliates with a Body Slam, no Paralyze for 10%. Another Strength brings the boss Pokemon into the yellow, but Lapras connects a Confuse Ray, and because I don't want to risk a Parafusion, I switch into Tentacruel, hoping Toxic can eventually take care of Lapras. However, I immediately get attacked with another Confuse Ray, and then the fucking appears. Tentacruel fails 2 confusion checks, hitting himself, while Lapras connects with 2 Body Slams, taking Tentacruel into low health, meaning I gotta switch, or potentially lose another member. Slowbro takes his buddy's place on a weak body slam, next turn Lapras outspeeds and hits Slowbro with another body slam, this time paralyzing. Luckily, Slowbro goes to paralyze and connects with a Psychic, which Lapras fucking survives on a Slither, and Lorelei uses another Super Potion, but with Lapras special down, another Psychic takes care of it. What a mess. Bruno is next, and I'm expecting Slowbro to take care of his Pokémon easily with a combination of Surf and Psychic. And at first, everything seemed to go well. Onix is his first Pokémon, which misses a Slam and drowns in a Surf. Next is Hitmonchan, that falls to a Psychic, and his brother Hitmonlee follows suit, only using a Focus Energy before its demise. Bruno's second Onix is next, and he gets the same treatment as the first one, joining him at the bottom of the ocean with one Surf. He's Bruno's Machamp, and before I show you what happens, let me just vent off a little bit. I have never, ever had any troubles dealing with Bruno on my personal runs. Honestly, I find him to be the easiest of the Elite Four in red, blue and yellow. Now imagine my fucking surprise when I click Psychic expecting an easy knockout and Machamp clicks fucking Fissure, which hits. Fissure is a one-hit KO move with 30% accuracy. This means that my new member of the team and my answer into Agatha goes down in a single move against Bruno. God fucking damn it, I guess I used all my luck on the gyms. To revenge kill Machamp, Gyarados comes in and destroys it with two Surfs. Now, with only 3 Pokemon left, Agatha is next, and my only answer into her Poison type is Blastoise with Dig, which, on hindsight, I should have thought Earthquake, but I honestly forgot. The battle with Agatha starts and she leads with Gengar, as I send in Blastoise and click Dig. After taking a Night Chase 56 damage, Blastoise connects with a Dig, taking the first Gengar out. Next in comes Golbat, and something that I never noticed happen. Blastoise connects with an Ice Beam, leaving Golbat with a sliver of health, and Agatha goes for a Super Potion after I attacked, in the same turn. I never noticed this weird interaction. Anyway, Golbat goes down with a second item. Haunter is the choice for Agatha next, and surprisingly, Blastoise outspeeds it and dodges an Hypnosis with the first turn of Dig, taking Haunter down in the next turn. After Haunter, Arbok comes in, and the same Super Potion interaction happens, so whether I just never noticed it or Agatha's just cheating, I mean, weird, but fuck it, I go for Dig again, and for some reason Agatha switches Arbok out for Ace the level 60 Gengar. However, because it switched in while Blastoise was on the ground, it misses the Hypnosis and goes down to the resurface part of Dig. Neat! After easily dispatching over Ace, Arbok is an easy target for another Dig, winning me the fight. This is going well, so far. Lance is the final Elite Four member that I have to defeat, and without Thunderbolt, his lead Gyarados is a serious threat. To start with Tentacruel, so I can Toxic it and deal some damage in between turns. Everything goes fine, Toxic connects, and Tentacruel takes 40 damage from a Dragon Rage. In return, the next turn, I go for a double team to fish out some misses, which is unsuccessful as Gyarados connects with another Dragon Rage for 40 damage. And this is the moment I fuck up royally. See, I decided to spam Acid while Toxis was dealing damage and maybe score some defense drops and some dodges. However, what I didn't consider was the fact that Tentacruel has a lot more special than attack, and Poison is a physical type in this generation. Also, to join in my stupidity, Gyarados also has lower special when compared to defense. All this means Acid was a terrible decision. I should have spammed Surf, and my reward for that bad decision is Gyarados connecting with a Hyper Beam, taking my Tentacruel out of battle. Not good! Blastoise comes in and finishes off Gyarados with a Body Slam. Next up is Lance's 2 Dragonair, both going down to an Ice Beam, although on the first one I got a low roll and it survived, but Lance just used an Hyper Potion and I got a high roll next turn, taking down the first Dragonite, and the second Dragonite goes down to a crit Ice Beam. Next is Aerodactyl, and I press Surf for the KO, but Aerodactyl obviously outspeeds and connects with a crit Hyper Beam, leaving Blastoise with 25% health remaining, and Surf KOs the Aerodactyl. Finally, Dragonite is here, and with Blastoise at low health, this is a risky play, but I have to go for it. It's too dangerous to switch into Gyarados in an Hyper Beam, and I am certain that Ice Beam is a KO. All I need is for Dragonite to go for either Agility or Barrier or miss a Slam or Hyper Beam. I click Ice Beam and hope for the worst. However, I never get to see what Lance picked because surprisingly Blastoise outspeeds Dragonite and sends it back to the Ice Age with an Ice Beam. Only 2 Pokemon left to take into the final battle of the run against my rival. But first, let me intervene and explain something about this run. This is a continuation run, which means that the Pokémon that get crowned Pokémon Champions will be de-leveled into their meeting level and are to be transferred into the next Pokémon generation game, in this case Pokémon Silver. That is why I'm only using a team of 4, because in the event that I get a Deathless League, I don't want to send 6 Mons into another game. That will just make it easier, so in order for the transfer to be fair and the Nuzlocke run itself to be more challenging, I only use an official party of 4. This also means I'm not forced to teach my Pokémon useless HMs, because I can use 2 HM mules in my team without it affecting my moveset. However, I made a mistake, because in my personal rules I decided that for the league I can take 6 Pokémon in, 4 of them in the main team and the other 2 for replacement in case one member falls, and as you see, I forgot to do that, leaving me with only 2 Mons for the champion battle. Also, one more thing, I don't nickname my Pokémon because I like to keep them unique via the training ID and name. I don't like renaming Pokémon, they already have a name. With that out of the way, let's check in on the last battle. As usual, my rival leads with Pidgeot and I lead with Blastoise, and as tradition dictates, Pidgeot misses a Whirlwind and Blastoise knocks it out with 2 Ice Beams. Immediately next comes Alakazam, which I'm pretty scared of, but I have to try and click Body Slam to fish out for a Paralyze. However, I don't care it, Alakazam goes for a Psybeam and deals 30% damage, and Body Slam connects and leaves Alakazam with 30% HP remaining. Not bad. Next turn, Alakazam goes for a Recover to almost full health and Blastoise puts him in the red with another Body Slam. Then Disaster strikes out Blastoise, as Alakazam next move is a Psychic that crits and takes my starter down. So long, old friend, you were very good to me and to this run. With only 1 Pokémon left, that being my Gyarados, which has been a major contributor for the team in so many battles, I click Strength to finish Alakazam up, but Alakazam goes for another Psychic and fucking crits again, leaving my Gyarados at 25% health remaining, and finally takes the fucker down with a Strength. Next is Rhydon, which falls to a Surf. No surprises there. In comes his own Gyarados against mine, and we have a mirror battle in our hands. I go for Strength for 40% damage, and his Gyarados goes for a Dragon Rage, leaving me with 25 HP remaining. Next, I connect with an Hyper Beam, taking his Gyarados down, with Arcanine coming in next and being defeated with 2 Surfs, only missing a Roar in the process. All that's left is Venusaur, his starter, against my 25 HP Gyarados. There is only one out of this battle. Gyarados outspeeds Venusaur and needs to hit a crit Hyper Beam. This is it. Gyarados' final move. This Hyper Beam decides the run, unless for some reason Venusaur goes for a Growth or a Solar Beam. I click the Hyper Beam connects, but no crit, leaving Venusaur with 40% HP remaining and hitting back with a Mega Drain, killing Gyarados and losing me the run. Time for a reset. As you could see, if I remembered my old rules, I could have won this run. It's with this thought in mind that I decided to reset the run. I lost on the final Pokémon of the final battle of the game, and that can be very demotivating to try another run, but I know that I can do it and I don't want to postpone this run again, so I reset. So, there you have it. All this time you've been watching my first attempt that ended in a fail. Kind of annoying to have a Nuzlocke end on the final Pokémon of the final battle, but so is life. For the second attempt, I'm going to spare you the details, because most of the gym went the same as the first attempt, minus a few honorable mentions. First off, Lieutenant Surge forced me to reset again after his Raichu outsped and knocked my Wartortle out with a Thunderbolt, but after another reset, I managed the victory. Now, Harika. This victory bell made me reset 5 more times because she was consistently hitting crit Razor Leaves on all of my mons. This just goes to show how insanely lucky my first run was, with that Freeze Ice Beam on the first turn. But at the 7th attempt I changed my strategy a little and managed to win. For the next 4 matches, it went all the same luckily. No deaths until I reached the turning point on the first attempt, the rival fight before the Pokémon League. This time I came prepared. He leads with this Pidgeot as we all know, and I lead Starmie this time, and 3 Thunderbolts fry off the big bird. Next, Rhyhorn gets drawn by a Surf, and Gyarados fried with Thunderbolt. Then, when Growlithe comes in, I switch into Gyarados because I know there's nothing this little fire pup can do to my Gyarados, and I want Gyarados on the field when Alakazam arrives. So, I take a Leer on the switch and knock Growlithe out with a Surf. Next, the threat Alakazam comes in, and after taking a strong Psychic, Alakazam goes down to a Body Slam, because in this attempt I decide to teach it to Gyarados instead of Blastoise. His final mon is Venusaur, and I stay in with Gyarados and go for a Body Slam, fishing for a Paralyze that I actually get. Nice. But for that, I take a crit Razor Leaf, which leaves Gyarados with 20% HP left. Now, I don't want to switch anyone on a crit Razor Leaf, because even against Tentacruel that could spell trouble, since Tentacruel has no way to damage it back. And since the first Body Slam appeared to deal 50% damage, I click it again, hoping for a high roll, but I don't get it. Venusaur survives on what must be 1% HP. However, he gets paralyzed, so I go unpunished, being able to defeat Venusaur with another Body Slam. This time I defeated the rival, Deathless. And finally, I'm back at the Indigo Plateau to face the Elite Four, and this time my team is intact. So after getting everyone up to level, I also prepare Horsea, which evolved into Citra, and Lapras as bench Pokemon in case of one of my main falls in battle. Now, on to the Elite Four. If everyone still has doubts about Starmie's supremacy over Pokemon Blue, I am here to dispel all of those doubts, because against Lorelei, Thunderbolt deals with Dewgong, Cloyster, Slowbro and Lapras, with Jinx being defeated with 2 Surfs. Lorelei down. Bruno is no different, because Water Psychic is the type counter against all of Bruno's Pokemon. Both Onix fall to a single Surf each, Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan and Machamp fall to Psychic without Fisher shenanigans this time. Agatha follows in the example of her peers, because all of her Pokemon fall to Psychic, and without offensive Ghost type moves, her Haunter and Gengar can't really touch Starmie. Lance comes next, and I just want to point out one fun fact. My Starmie doesn't know Ice Beam because I taught it to Blastoise. If it did, Starmie could easily solo Lance, meaning that this beautiful starfish can alone solo the entire Pokemon Red, Blue and Yellow Elite Four. That is power. And let's be honest, it can also solo the champion, but it isn't as certain. There are definitely scenarios where he loses. On to Lance. His lead Gyarados tastes some lightning and goes down easily. On Dragonair, I switch to Blastoise on a failed slam and click Ice Beam, needing 3 Ice Beams to take this Dragonair out, only with it hitting a weak Hyper Beam. The second Dragonair falls to a Surf after surviving an Ice Beam on a Slither and failing an Hyper Beam. Aerodactyl comes in next and immediately fires a Supersonic that connects, however Blastoise passes the confusion check to connect with the Surf and take down the Ancient Bird. His final Pokemon is Dragonite, and as luck would have it, Blastoise hurts himself in confusion in the first turn, taking a slam in return, and because I don't want to risk my starter, I switch to Gyarados on the barrier. Next turn. I click Body Slam, hoping for a Paralyze and successfully, and what comes next is a shit show of Body Slams and Dragonite spamming barrier, until I finally manage a Paralyze and an Hyper Beam crit finishes the Chevy Dragon. And finally, it's time for the final battle of the game, and the battle that ended my first run against my rival, which is now the Pokémon Champion. As always, he leads with Pidgeot and I go Starmie, clicking Thunderbolt right away, taking a weak wing attack in return, and another Thunderbolt does the trick. Alakazam comes in early, and because I don't want to risk a crit Psychic or any of my Pokemons, I decide to click Surf and get a crit for 80% damage. In return, Alakazam fires a weak non-crit Psychic, and another Surf takes care of my rival's biggest threat. Next up is Rhydon, which falls to a Surf, and Gyarados, which falls to a Thunderbolt. Arcanine is next, and I switch to Gyarados once again on a failed Roar, and 2 Surfs take care of the Fire Doggo. With only Venusaur left, I prepare for the final face-off. In first turn, I go for a Body Slam, but instead of a Paralyze, I get something better, a crit. And instead of going for the high crit Razor Leaf, my rival goes for the weaker Mega Drain, dealing virtually no damage. And finally, with a final Hyper Beam, Gyarados wins me the battle, giving me the title of Pokémon Champion of the Kanto region. Finally, Thank you all so much for watching. Keep your eyes peeled because this is a continuation run, as I said earlier, meaning that these 4 Pokemon are going to be devolved into their original forms and be sent to Pokemon Silver, where I will attempt the same run with old and new friends. Remember to never stop being yourself, and peace.